Good evening, everyone. Well, the Big 12 Conference looks to be loaded in 2024, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to find out just how deep the Big 12 is, and we have some more rankings for you to look at as well. Some different stuff that came out today. We'll be right back right after this. Well, what's going on, everyone? I'm Joey Foster. That right over there, my sidekick, Mr. Shane. What's going on, Shane?
Not much. Last week we were talking about FanDuel's terrible predictions for over/under for wins, and with that, it still irritates me. So I don't know, guys. I just want to be able to throw more numbers at you, confuse you even more, and so it's just that's my goal this week is to confuse Big 12 fans even more with more numbers, because last week we talked about Kansas State, Utah. Kansas State and Utah both were picked at 9.5 wins. Kansas had 8.5. Arizona had 8.5. Texas Tech had 8.5. UCF had 8.5. And then everyone else kind of like anywhere from 4.5 to 7. It didn't really pass the common sense test for me, knowing that Arizona had so much turnover. I mean, their quarterback and running back are back, but they've lost a lot of people to Washington, left with their coach. Even Frank on his show Tuesday or Wednesday, mentioned this, and he didn't agree with it. So I thought would bring that up, close that up, but tie it into an article that came out on Athlon Sports about ranking the Big 12's football rosters in 2024 based off of the recruiting average. So here it is. If you look at it, it makes a little bit more sense because, to what we think the top teams are going to be. Mm-hmm. However, there's an outlier in there, and that would be Kansas. And we're going to talk about why I think Kansas is better than, actually the numbers dictate. But if you look at this, TCU, Utah, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Baylor, those are all teams that you would think would have a chance at 8 wins, right?
Well, not according to what we showed last week. They say West Virginia 6.5. So,
but all the recruiting ranks aren't 100%. This is based off of a scouting service, so it's more of an art than a science. Yes, it's numbers, but a lot of different things do change, and there are variables. But this is just a weighted score that I thought we could utilize to take a gander at the Big 12 in the off season.
Yeah, it really, there's a couple things here that I will talk about. I think one thing that makes sense is Kansas at 16, because we're looking at, this is the ranking of Big 12's college football rosters in 2024. And we know that Kansas has not been a recruiting monster out there, for a very long time. So they're basing that off of the last couple of times since Lance Leipold's been there the last couple of years, what he's brought in and what he's bringing in out of the transfer portal. And they had so much turnover themselves, right, and things. They're going to be down there at the bottom. They're just not going to have the talent that teams that always finish in the top half of things.
Right.
So,
and I want to talk about Kansas real quick. If you take out the 2022,
go ahead and keep talking. Go ahead and keep talking and put it back.
2022. If you take 2022 out of the mix, the 117, okay, their average would jump into the middle of the pack, guys. They would be around the 50. So you take that 117th rank in 2022 out of there and average everything else, they would look a lot better. That pushes them down. That 2022 ranking of 117. Lance really did a great job in 2024. They're up to top 50. Top 50 is where a Big 12 program should be. They should be, as far as I'm concerned, based off the talent at the Big 10, the SEC, and the ACC. They should fall anywhere from 30 to 60. That should be where these teams should rank. They should not rank 84. Arizona should not be 84. Colorado should not be 117. But Colorado is utilizing the transfer portal more. So, you know, it's a new science. This isn't the days of old where you can just base it off of recruiting. You know, where Florida State, they're going to be top 5 because they had the second best recruiting team or recruiting year, or Alabama is going to be, those days are gone. Unless you're a blue blood that can recruit 5-star talent. This is the way the path forward.
Yeah, you're probably right there. I mean, I think we have some Big 12 programs that can recruit some
Right.
5-star talent. All of them obviously have at one time or another. But I think the teams that have the facilities and have the stature to be able to recruit, if you look at TCU, they're a couple years away from a playoff win, so they probably could grab some 5-star talent.
Yeah.
Utah is going to maybe grab one every 4 or 5 years. West Virginia is going to be is one other program that should be able to grab some. Oklahoma State, I can see that. But in the Big 12 years, there's not any blue blood programs. So, we don't have an Alabama or now an Oklahoma or Texas. So there's just not going to be very many programs in the Big 12 that just constantly recruit, constantly get, 5-star players. But we should get a lot of 4-star players. And that's where I see the Big 12. It's more like a really good conference with a lot of 4-star players. And
Yeah.
hey, don't get me wrong. A lot of times, 5-star players don't work out, and 2
Right.
and 3-star players become 4 and 5-star players
Right.
in college. And that's why you see a team like TCU do so well a couple of years ago, or you take different teams every year. It can win a national championship. I don't know why they think it's only an SEC or Big Ten thing. Probably because that's the only ones that's won them. But it's just not. It's not feasible for that to always be. There's going to be a team out of the Big 12 that wins a national championship in the next probably 10 years, maybe even a couple of times. And there's going to be teams out of the ACC that can do the same thing, like Clemson, Florida State. I don't think it's always going to be an SEC Big Ten thing.
No. I think with the new what is it, 7 plus 5. I think that's going to help the Big 12. I think they're in a position where they're going to benefit from that. But just going back to the numbers real quick, Utah went from 21 in 2023, 21. They were 21 in recruiting to 60. They had a huge drop off, and I'm thinking that's because they're utilizing the porthole more. Because 2020, 21, 22, they were all those years, they were a top 30 team as far as recruiting. So, and in Colorado, they went from 30 in 2023 to 117. So, I'll be interested to see next year how these teams do, if this is reflective of what, how they're going to perform. I don't know. I thought it was really interesting, guys.
I like the fact though that I don't like the fact, but it's just the truth, and it's true across the whole college football landscape right now. I think high school recruiting is down because a lot of teams are depending on that transfer portal to fill a hole. Because here's me as a coach. I'll give you an example. If I was a coach, and let's say I need a left tackle, and I look at this graduating class coming out of high school this year, and I think, okay, there's 5 left tackles that I think I could recruit and have a chance to get one. but I got 10 next year to choose from that are coming out of high school. There's 10 that I think I have a really good shot at maybe even landing 2 of them. So let's just fill the hole this year with a transfer instead of recruiting a left tackle. Next year, let's recruit 2 left tackles. And I think that's what I would do as a coach, and I'm sure it's what a lot of coaches are doing. They're just saying, you know, fill a hole for a year because next year we've got more talented high school players coming out that we can plug into those places. You know, and I'm sure they're doing that. So therefore, I think everybody's recruiting high schools going down. Transfer portal recruiting is way up there. We know this. And it's making college football interesting because nobody knows how good somebody's going to be. I mean, nobody knew how good West Virginia was going to be last year. And if you look at it, it's mainly because of some of the transfers we got in, like Beanie Bishop, who done an amazing job, and things. So I look at that and I think there can be some hidden teams out there right now in the Big 12 that are just going to be absolutely dominant next year because they
Right.
did he's in the transfer portal. Maybe nobody has them real high, but they filled a hole and the need they needed with somebody out of the transfer
Mhm.
portal that's going to fit into their program like Billy Bishop did at West Virginia, right? That just fit right in there and just picked right up and was really good. So now I'm wondering who else is that sneaker team this year in the Big 12 that's grabbed somebody out of the portal? We talk about Arizona losing some players when they lost their coach. Now they can fill those holes out of the portal and bring some kids in. Some of them kids might be better than what they lost. So we
Yeah,
have
I mean, definitely with Colorado, I think they're trying to, capture. They basically told a lot of their offensive linemen to pack their bags and go play in somebody else's sandbox. So he definitely is filling, upping the level of performance based off of getting talent that have not only performed at a high level. He's going to try to compensate them for that. And right now it's the Wild West. I mean, you can pay
Mhm.
whatever you can pay, and that's it. I mean, they're making $2 million. We were talking a month ago that they were making $1 million for a quarterback. It's closer to 2 million now.
Oh
Guys,
yeah.
the bumpers are there's going to have to be a salary cap. There's going to have to be some sort of I don't know regulation to this. It's going to be it's going to be the same 6, 7 teams every year. There's not going to be parity. You're going to lose fans. That's the way I
Mhm.
feel.
Before we go any further, we want to thank everybody for being here with us on this show tonight. And be sure you hit that like button. If you're not a member of the Big 12 channel, be sure you subscribe up to the Big 12 channel. This is also streaming on the West Virginia channel. It does every week. We stream it on the Big 12 and the West Virginia channel. Hey, Shane, I think I'll drop the link and let some people come in and chat with us if they want
Sure.
to. We've
Sounds
only
like
got
a
a couple
plan.
of people commenting in the comment section, but we do have a lot more people than that in here. So, hey, if you're in here and you're not chatting, let us know you're here. At least give us a little
Thumbs
chat
up.
there just to say hi, so we know you're here and things, and we can thank you for being here. But there's a link. If anybody like to join us, come on in, ask us questions, talk, give us your opinion. Where's the Big 12 at this
Right.
year? That's what I want to hear. But we're not getting very many opinions
No,
about
but
where teams are.
I'll tell you where the Big 12 is in basketball. They're killing it. West Virginia isn't. But somebody has to clean the
You're
toilet
kidding
bowl.
me. West Virginia's not killing it in
Uh,
basketball this year. Wonder why?
not this year, not this year. But I'll tell you what, you know, March Madness is next month, and you're talking, Iowa State could be a 2 seed, and 3 seed
Mhm.
Kansas and Baylor. I mean, there, it's it's gonna be interesting to see. We were talking before about some speculation for basketball coaches. Nat, I have no idea. I have no idea. So I have to check the Magic 8 Ball.
So, one thing, I think everybody's seen the way too early top 20 or top 25 for 2024 from ESPN, right? But they've updated it. I don't know if anybody knows that or not.
Let's see
But
that.
Washington was number 11 in their first one. SMU was number 24, and Iowa was number 25. All three of them have been dropped out of their top 25. And
Yeah.
some teams have been bumped up. One of those teams, let me see where they were.
Well, let's
West
just go through it
Virginia.
real quick.
West
Let's just
Virginia
go
moved
through it.
up too. So here we go. All right. So they have there are 5 Big 12 teams in the top 25, but let's go through it here. So we have Georgia number 1, Ohio
Yep.
State 2, Oregon 3, Texas 4, Notre Dame 5, Ole Miss 6, Missouri 7, Penn
That's
State
surprising.
8. Yeah, Penn State 8, Alabama 9, Utah 10. Right. And then this is Utah's a top 10 team coming in as in the way too early polls, right? Now, previously they were 13th. They've updated that and made them 10th now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 11 is Arizona. Arizona dropped a couple places. They were previously number 9. They're now 11.
It's crazy.
So there's two Big 12 teams back to back there. Then you have LSU at 12, Michigan at 13, Oklahoma 14, Florida State 15, Tennessee 16, Oklahoma State coming in 17. Previously, when they came out with it, they were 18.
Yeah.
They moved up a spot.
I can
18
see
is
that.
NC State. 19 is Clemson. 20 is Kansas State. They were previously 21, so they bumped them up a spot. Louisville 22. Kansas Jayhawks are 22. I'm sorry. Louisville's number 21. Kansas is 22. They were previously 23.
Right.
Kentucky is 23. Miami's 24. Texas A&M 25. And a couple of other things that are just missed. They're just right outside the top 25 is USC, Washington, SMU, Iowa, Wisconsin, West Virginia, Boise State, Liberty, and Air Force. So,
yeah, Air Force. I don't really know. I mean, they're pretty consistent with who's coming back. Jackson Johnson, how is it going?
It's going pretty good. How's it going, gents?
It's going. So, what do you think about Arizona being in its way too early? Top 25 as high as it is. What are they? Let me see where they're at.
They were 11th.
I think 11's too high.
Yeah,
it's too high.
Right.
22 for Kansas is too low.
Right. Mm-hmm. If you flip flop them, I can see it. But Utah, I think even 10 for Utah is a little high. I'd put them at like 15.
Yeah, I mean,
Oklahoma
Utah.
17's about right, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if Jed Fish was still there at Arizona, then I could see Arizona being 11th. But Brent Brennan, I'm on wait and see mode with him at Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see what Brent Benham does. I mean, come on, he's a San Jose State. I mean, it's not like he's coming from. I mean, that's Division I school. Like, they play some ball, but they're gonna have to. It's not like he's been there 2 years. I mean, there's too many unknowns.
That's true.
So I was trying to find that. That's not that I'm ignoring you guys. I was trying to find it here. I've got from KSL Sports, KSLSports.com. They have their way too early 2024 Big 12 power rankings out. They have number 1 in power rankings as Arizona. And then they have number 2 is Oklahoma State.
Okay.
Number 3 is Utah. Number 4 is Kansas. Number 5, West Virginia.
That's right.
Number 6, Kansas State. Yeah, 6 is Kansas State.
Sounds like mine.
7,
sounds like mine, except for Arizona.
Yeah. 7 is Iowa State. Don't know that I agree with that one, but okay. 8 is TCU.
Yeah.
9 is Texas Tech. Don't agree with that one at all. I think it's way too low for Texas Tech. I think they're going to be in the top 4 or 5 this year in the Big 12. UCF is 10. Colorado is 11. BYU 12. Baylor 13. Arizona State 14. Houston 15. And Cincinnati 16. I think they're bottom.
I take it that KSL doesn't like Willie Fritz at Houston.
I like their bottom 5 or 6. I think their bottom 5 or 6 are probably right. Not that any of them are bad programs. It's just that there's some changes going on at most of those programs. Look at Cincinnati at 16, just coming into Big 12, new coach, only got 1 year under his belt. I don't know if they'll finish 16th, but I think they will finish at the bottom. You look at Houston at 15, brand new head coach coming in this year, just fired Dana Holgerson. Cost them a lot of money to do that, but Houston's always a good program. But they were 4-8 last year and only 2-7 in the Big 12, so I can see them at the bottom. Absolutely. Then they've got Arizona State at 14. Arizona State right now is just a dumpster fire. They might be the worst team in the Big 12 next year, to be honest. Then you got Baylor at 13. Dave Aranda's got to be on the hot seat, no doubt about it. Last year, 3-9, 2-7 in the Big 12, but that's just not Baylor football. So I can see them at the bottom. BYU at the bottom of 12. Maybe that's the first one that I do not agree with. I don't think BYU will finish in the bottom 6 or 7 of this league. I think they will finish about maybe 8th in this league, somewhere around there. So, but most part, I agree. They got Colorado at 11. Yeah, I could see Colorado at 11. So. But
I look at these teams in three-layer cake. Okay, there's the top tier, middle tier, and bottom tier. If any of the top tier finish in the top tier, I think that's about as close as you can call it. But I would be surprised if a bottom tier team makes it like last year. West Virginia was picked as a bottom tier team, and I would have picked them either, like 10th, 9th, 10th, 11th, not 14th.
Yeah.
But the fact that they finished 4th is very surprising. The fact that Kansas finished where they finished was very surprising. So I'm sure there will be surprises this season that we'll be talking about. What was it going to be? Baylor? Is it going to be BYU? I don't know.
If anybody's going to have a shot, it's going to be Baylor and BYU will have the shot to finish better than where everybody's going to predict them to finish.
And Colorado, everybody's picking them to finish low.
Right. But your bottom two basement dwellers in according to KSL, is Houston and Cincinnati, and I think that's probably the 2 best picks. I might have even put Cincinnati at the bottom or Houston at the bottom. And Cincinnati right
I would
above.
have too. Jackson, what team that is a bottom tier team, in your opinion, has the highest ceiling? Like, you would not be surprised if this, you don't feel bad if they're picked 9th or 10th or 12th, whatever. But who do you think would not be surprising if they had a good run and finished in the top 3rd of the conference?
Which are the bottom tier teams again at KSL?
And KSL, it's so I'll give you the bottom 5 real quick. All right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go back down through here,
and
I'll give
you
the
bottom. Give them the bottom 6 because
Okay. So in 10th they got UCF. 11 is Colorado. 12 BYU. 13 Baylor. 14 Arizona State. 15 Houston. 16 Cincinnati.
I would take a guess at Central Florida because right now, because the fact that the standings have them very low, that's where Gus Malzahn teams thrive so well.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that at Auburn. We're seeing that at Central Florida. The fact that when Malzahn teams are predicted to finish very high, they finish low. When Malzahn teams are predicted to finish very low, they have a very surprising season that turns very fantastic.
So according to KSL Sports, I guess they have a bunch of sports writers that vote on this. The highest vote that UCF received in the Big 12 was number 5, and the lowest vote was number 16. So they tell you that. Let's get on here to Cincinnati, who they picked last, and see what they got as far as how many votes. So Cincinnati, their highest vote was number 13, and their lowest vote, number 16. So they did it looks like everybody's in agreement there. Cincinnati's one of the bottom teams in the Big 12. Houston, pretty much the same way. Their highest vote was 12, lowest vote 16. So yeah, they're pretty much the same. So I think that I kind of like this KSL poll. I kind of agree with it at the bottom. I don't agree with it at the top very much, but I do agree with the bottom. I think it's dead on at the bottom. Except that in ninth place they've got Texas Tech. Now the highest vote they had was 3, but there are people fixing Texas Tech as low as 15 in the Big 12, according to KSL Sports. So I mean, I just can't see that at all because number one, Joey McGuire's had the best recruiting class 2 years in a row in the Big 12. And not only that, it's got a good transfer portal class. They were expected to do really good last year. They were young, didn't do that great. Guess what? They got all that experience back. They're older now and got some good transfers. Might want to watch out for Texas Tech this year. I do not see them finish in ninth in the Big 12. That's one team I do not agree with there. So.
Hey, TCU, I think last year was an outlier. I mean, I think they still have quality. They have a quality program. I think they just, it's hard. They finished. They played for a national championship. Okay, and to come back and then lose that first game, things went south. But I think that the TCU is getting overlooked. And I'll tell you what, BYU always puts a quality program out there too and plays some ball. But Tim Green was hoping he could get at Houston and Morgantown for a revenge game this year.
You know what? I don't look at it as revenge against Houston. That was Dana Holgerson's last hurrah for Houston. He wanted to beat West Virginia. You could see the disappointment on his face when West Virginia scored a touchdown and went ahead with 12 seconds to go in that game. He showed a camera shot of Dana Holgerson, and he looked depleted.
He looked like
he pulled something out of it. He pulled something out of his ass, and they went and scored a touchdown and beat us with a Hail Mary. Lucky.
It bought him some time.
But no, I don't look at it as revenge. Yeah, I don't look at it as a revenge game. So.
It was that penalty on Green.
Yeah, I mean, that Hail Mary pass against West Virginia basically bought Holgerson some time. Well, at least bought the rest of the season for him.
Yeah. Now, Jackson, what do you think? What do you think about coaches getting fired midway through the season? Do you think that benefits the program, or is it better just to ride let them sit on the hot seat for 3-4 more weeks and finish the season? What do you think about college coaches that get canned early?
I think in a way, like, it depends on the situation because everything in life is situational. If you have a really bad coach, get him out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because
it
becomes a it becomes a cancer. It becomes a cancer in the locker room. If you got a coach that's not winning, he's getting aggravated. The players are getting aggravated. The fan base is getting aggravated. It can create a bad culture. And a bad culture is hard to get back. It's hard to get back that culture. If you've got a good culture at your program and you're winning games, all of a sudden you start losing some games and that culture starts going away. It's really hard to get that back. So that's but here's when I think you should fire a head coach in the middle of the season. If you've got somebody that can back up that team, and if you've got a great coach that you can put in there as an interim head coach to finish the season. So like I seen today, Dino Babers, was at Syracuse. He's now the offensive coordinator at where's he at? I can't remember. Dino Babers, but he's now the offensive coordinator somewhere. So if they had to fire their coach or get rid of their coach or their coach walked away, they have somebody that has coached a Power 5 level that they could put in there.
Arizona. He's at Arizona.
Arizona. So see there, if something happens that, probably not this year, but next year, if Arizona's coach is just not doing very good at all, he's had a bad season this year and he's coming out bad next year, they need to get rid of him. They do have somebody with Power 5 experience head coaching there to as an interim coach. Then I think teams like that would be okay to do that. It's when you got people that are your assistant head coaches that do not have head coaching experience, that's when it's really tough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good thing. I
yeah.
like that Dino's not coaching at Syracuse now because they always forgot how to play football after they played against Clemson. Win, lose, or draw.
Yeah,
They always forgot how to play football.
you're right. They
That's
did.
true.
They did. But they were always a team that came either really close to beating Clemson or beating Clemson in the ACC. There was nobody else for a few years that even came close to Clemson. But they struggled against Syracuse, and Dino seemed to have their number. It'll be interesting to see. So, who is the head coach at Syracuse now? Has anybody heard? Be heard?
Fran Brown. Fran Brown.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know that either.
He worked at Georgia.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Okay, so they're getting.
I'll tell you, I was surprised that Georgia's still at number one on a lot of those way too early, and it's not Ohio State. That's we'll wait.
I'm
and
not,
see
and here's
exactly.
why.
Uh-huh.
I'm not, and here's why. I think they looked at the Big Ten and said, okay, Michigan lost their coach, and Michigan was the best team in the Big Ten. Ohio State's always good in there, but
Right.
if you think about it, who in the SEC, since Alabama has lost Nick Saban, who in the SEC is most likely to go undefeated and win the SEC? You're obviously going to say Georgia, right? Probably either Georgia or LSU. I think most likely Georgia. So therefore, I can see putting Georgia number one.
But you had Georgia and Alabama on the same pedestal. Now you have Georgia sitting alone, and then you have maybe two steps down. You have everybody else, and then you have your basement dwellers.
We're saying that now. We're saying that now, but you know what? Alabama might come out and tear some ass up this year, and we won't be saying that next year.
So. We'll see. But LSU, I think, is making a case to be one of those top programs. They're really recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is a Big 12 show, but college football is college football, and all kind of. If there's a wave in the ocean, it touches every continent, guys. And here's the thing: the recruiting is starting to get hot and heavy after this spring ball game. It's all bets are off. It's gonna be everybody's gonna be out there. It's gonna be like Black Friday shopping. Everybody's gonna be out there trying to get a Cabbage Patch.
Yeah, I'm like you. I know it's a Big 12 show, but how many people? There's been so many interesting things happen this year, like Chip Kelly. How many people thought Chip Kelly would make that move like that?
I thought that was a terrible fit. Jackson, would you think Chip Kelly would fit at LSU?
No.
What? He's killing it. Recruiting. They love him down there.
No,
Chip
Kelly. Chip Kelly's UCLA. He left UCLA.
Chip Kelly. Yeah.
You're thinking of Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly. Sorry,
Brian Kelly. Yeah, I mean,
Chip
he's
Kelly.
doing all right over there, but they're not going to be happy very long because he can't win in the postseason. And I'm not talking about those past two bowl games. I'm talking about like a near six game,
a big one,
or like the SEC title game. They're not going to be happy very long. I mean, he can win big regular season matchups, but he's not going to win a playoff game.
I love that Ed Ogeron video where they talk about him getting fired, and they said, "Well, we're going to pay you." He's like, "I'll have my bags back."
There you go. Hey, I mean, that's the best job in the world is being a fired college football head coach.
No doubt about it. I mean, look at Dana Holgerson's living high on the hog right now. I'm sure. Yeah. You look around the college football world. To be honest, we've not heard much since Texas fired. What was his name? We haven't heard much from him. He was at Houston, then he went to Texas.
Tom Herman.
Tom Herman, yeah, he's at what Florida A&M now or something. Am I right?
He's at Florida Atlantic in his second.
Florida Atlantic.
Division.
Okay. So
Atlantic.
So you think about that. He didn't need to make a lot of money. Texas is still paying him. So he's all right. And so, yeah, it is a great thing. So he could be somewhere where they don't have any pressure on him and just having some fun and making more money than anybody else, you know, in pretty much close to anybody in college football. Jimbo Fisher's another one. My goodness, he'll never have to work another day in his life, of course, but he won't have to work for many years if he don't want to, and just sit back and enjoy that nice big $10 million paycheck coming in every year.
Do you think that takes the stress off of them as far as, like if you're like an assistant making, maybe 150 or 175 and you don't know where you're going to be year to year. But then you start making the $2-3 million a year and with a long contract. How does that increase your pressure? Or do you want to, or is it just, I don't know. I think it depends on the person, but
yeah, I think so too. I look at it this way. We talk about how much money coaches make, and we've always put head coaches up there on a pedestal, right? But we look back, it wasn't that long ago. Don Nehlen left West Virginia in 2000, right? It was his last year coach in 2000.
20,
Does anybody know how much he made? Does anybody know how much he made in his 20th year of coaching West Virginia?
I don't know. I have an idea.
2 of those years, and it wasn't much. It was under $500,000 a year.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a lot of money. Most of the years he was making 100 and some thousand, 200,000. But every coach in the country was back then. It wasn't until later on that these coaches. It wasn't until I don't know who the first coach was.
And the hours they
really
put
start making money. Gosh, yes, some hours they put in. It's unreal. You watch. I love watching some of these shows with that have head coaches and are following them around from time they get up until they go to bed and just watching everything to do. Hey, these coaches work their ass off. It's going from interview to interview to interview, and then having to sit in team meetings on a constant every time you turn around, or sit down with your coaches and go over game plans, look at game film, get out there in the field and practice, watching your players, finding out. And then not only that, you've got trouble, right? There's always going to be somebody that you heard smoke a joint, and you got to go have a talk with them.
You have to be.
Or there's always going to be somebody that you heard got an argument with his girlfriend, and they got in a big public argument. So you got to go have a talk with them. So there's all of that, and all that stuff's taken care of late in the evening when the sun goes down, and the coach is still going and has been since 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And guess what? He'll get home 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, go to bed, and get up and do it again 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. 7 days a week, pretty much. It's really unreal. They deserve the money they make. Well, let's put it this way. Some of them deserve the money they make. Some of them do not. But I think you're talking when you're talking Nick Saban. Hey, that dude earned every dime he ever made.
Right. He brought this university. If you're bringing a university money, it brings up the question. You could have you have an option: blue pill or green pill. Okay. The blue pill is you coach 3 years at a Notre Dame, an Alabama, a big blue blood school. Okay. You're given a huge chunk of money. You have a 50-50 shot of playing in a national championship. Or you can coach 15 years at a school that you love, that you grew up in that area, 15 years, play, for a bowl, 75% of the years you coach there, you're playing in a bowl, you're successful. You're never going to win a national championship, but you're loved by the community, and you're always going to be loved by the community. What pill would you take, Joey?
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm definitely wanting the latter there, because I would rather have a coach that could just consistently win. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't care about national championships. I'd love to have one. We all would as fans. We'd love to have a national championship. But if you can be consistent at winning, and you can win 7, 8, 9 games every year, and occasionally get that 10 or 11 win season in there, and be loved in the community and be loved in your state, I think without a doubt that's the coach I'd want. Now, would I love a coach that come in there and just dominate and win national championships every 4 years? Absolutely. Yeah. But if you're looking at, but you'd rather have somebody that's really good in the community and good in the state, but maybe can only win 6 games a year, or somebody that's good in the community, good in the state, can win you 8, 9, 10 games a year. Of course, it's 8, 9, 10 I want. But yeah, it's just there's a. I'd rather have consistency than a national championship one time and then just be shitty the rest of the time.
Be shit and have a turnover a coach and your program's in shambles. Yeah, I don't know. Jackson, what are your thoughts?
I mean, coaching at a blue blood school is cool and all, but I'd rather coach at an Iowa State or a Kansas for 15 years because I know nobody's going to be griping at me for not winning the national title every year.
Right.
Oh, you need to be more like this person or that
Right.
person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kansas would be happy. Well, Kansas right now is just happy winning games and going to a bowl game. But Kansas would be happy with a head coach that could every 10 years win a conference championship. It's just how it is at Kansas. And I think Iowa State's the same way. They're happy with a coach that could just come in and maybe win them one conference championship every 10 years and just have some consistency of staying around 6 to 8 wins every year.
Bill Snyder. That's who you maybe think I was talking about Don Nealon. I was talking about Bill Snyder. And that's who I was thinking when I used that example, and then I was thinking about, coach in Oklahoma. Mike Gundy, Yeah. Lance has if I were Lance, I would love to be Lance because that coach had a great season, has another good season. They're going to have another good season next year. And he has everybody in Kansas and Lawrence loves him because they believe they can win. They're not the homecoming game year in and year out.
Right. And they're not looking, and these fans, I mean, we've talked to them. We see them in the chat. We've talked to Kansas fans.
Right.
They're not Kansas fans that saying we're going to win a national championship here in the next year or two. They don't care about that. They just want to be competitive in college football. They are a basketball school. They know this, and they want to, Now they go without winning a national championship in basketball for 10 years. There's going to be some,
they're
some
spoiled there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But in football, they could care less. I mean, sure, they'd love to have one, but they could really care less. As long as they can compete in football, they're going to be happy. And I can tell you, and this is the honest to goodness truth, Mountaineer fans, they want a national championship really bad. Every Mountaineer fan you talk to just won a national championship game. But
next question.
That's starting to cool off. Now.
Yep.
I'm hearing a lot more Mountaineer fans saying,
Yep.
I'm happy just winning 9, 10 games a year. Give me 9, 10 games a year, and I'm satisfied.
But here's the thing, Joey. In basketball, 3 years ago, during COVID, in my mind, I thought in the next 5 years they would be playing in a Final Four again or competing for a national championship in basketball. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's disheartening when that happens. That's why my heart goes out to Arizona, because even though all these people that know more about sports than me are putting them where they're at, it ain't happening. Guys, it ain't happening. You aren't going to go make the playoffs with a brand new coach. And I hope, for your sake, I'm eating my words in November, but I really don't think I will be. But
so Don Johnson says there's one national champion every year, and that's it. To win 8, 9, 10 games most years, that coach will be loved by the college. But we're in the NCG once and should have been in it twice. So
yeah,
I can. Don's a West Virginia fan, right?
Yeah.
Don Johnson, Joe Mountaineer, I believe he is. So Jackson,
he's on our other show.
Jackson, well, first off, before I go to Jackson, let me say this. I know everybody. I know this is a Big 12 show, and we're talking about a lot of teams out here, and we're talking about everybody on a national level. That's because this is a fan show. This is a fan zone. Sure, we like college, we love college football, but we're not analysts. We're not out here to, to say this is what's going to happen, and this is. We're just here as fans, and we want to draw fans in here with us. We got Jackson in here. Jackson's a big college football fan. It's a fan zone. If you'd like to come in with us in here, I'll drop the link. I'll drop it again. We'd love to have you call into the show. You don't have to be on camera. You will have the camera up in the back room when you go in, just to show me that you're a real person. And that way I'll bring you in.
Not an alien or a robot.
Right. And
we've had problems with robots in the past.
And thank you, Mark, for doing that. Please hit the like button, everyone, as Mark says. We appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
So Jackson, real quick, tell us what you've got going on over to Jacksonian, because every time I turn around, you're doing something over there. You almost put out 30 videos a day sometimes, it seems like.
Well, Tuesday night, I had JR from the Big Ten huddle where we discussed the latest in Big Ten football and Big Ten basketball. And we were talking about the hot seat coaches in basketball. And ironically, one of them got fired yesterday on Valentine's Day. So what a rough day. I mean, you better by God get a damn good Valentine's Day gift. And, you're fired. That's not a good day if I ever seen one right there. So not good for Chris Holtman. I wish him nothing but awesomeness.
Right. It's really different to get to for back. I don't recall a lot of basketball coaches getting fired mid-season, that I can recall.
Well, I think it's heading on over to that
new trend, huh?
Yeah.
I tell you, it's going to be interesting in basketball this year in the Big 12 to see what happens. Who does West Virginia get? Because whether you like it or not, West Virginia is a pretty good landing spot in basketball. There's some coaches out there. I mean, John Beeline took absolutely. He has turned everybody down and said no, and don't even show up for interviews. But he came to Morgantown for an interview when Bob Huggins left. They didn't come to an agreement, but he came and interviewed for that job because he's been in Morgantown before. I just think that you look around the country right now and you look at some of the top names in basketball. West Virginia is going to be able to get a good name in basketball as their head coach. Yeah. They've always had that. We've had it all the way back to Gil Catlett, Bob Huggins. It's just, I think that we've always been a pretty good basketball program. And I just feel like that, there's no doubt we'll get a good basketball coach. I'm anxious to see that play out this year.
My favorite name is Dusty May from Florida Atlantic. I mean, I think he checks all the blocks, but we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen.
See, there you go. We got off the football subject because we're just fans. This is just a fan zone show. We want the fans to come in. You want to talk about, if you want to come in here as a fan and you want to talk about the SEC or something, that's okay with us. We don't have a problem with that. Come on in, just join us and let us know what you think, what your thoughts are. Because if you got a thought on the SEC, you probably got a thought on the Big 12, just like we've got one on the SEC. We've got our thoughts about what's going to happen there this year.
Yeah,
Jackson, you got a.
I'd hate to get on the bad side of Big 12 basketball. They'll chew you up like a chicken nugget.
Yeah. Big 12 basketball is a tough place. I mean, that, and it's getting tougher now with Arizona coming into the Big 12 in basketball. I mean, the rich get richer in that case, right? That's bottom line.
Imagine a world where the ACC kind of falls apart and some of these basketball elites kind of matriculate into the Big 12. Ooh, that'll be good, huh?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like we're heading to 24 team conferences, I mean, it's not there yet, but it's getting there
happen.
Eventually.
Jackson,
well, and it was kind of like the 2022 college football playoff. They kind of threw a bone to TCU, go, see, we're not making it a monopoly to the SEC Big Ten. But then last season, Florida State gets screwed over. And I'm thinking to myself, yep, we're getting closer to that SEC Big Ten monopoly.
So Don Johnson says, yes, I'm a born Mountaineer fan, had season tickets in Neyland days, and yes, I want us to win the national championship. Don't ever think you can't. I think's what he's saying there. Don't ever think you can't. Yeah, don't take me wrong, but I'm not saying that West Virginia can't win the national championship. And I'm not saying I don't want to win the national championship because I do. I'm one of them fans that I'm an older fan, I've been watching Mountaineer football since the 70s, back in Bobby Bowden days. I know what this program can do. I've seen it at its worst. I've seen it at its best. And I think we all agree, ever since I was born, I don't remember a worse span of Mountaineer football than from 2019 to 2022. That
No, I don't.
19, 20, 21, and 22 were just horrible. But
No, not
23, we got it
consecutive.
back.
Not in a. There
Not in
might be one
consecutive.
year where it was kind of like, we didn't make a bowl, but
Right.
not consistently. And we've been spoiled for basketball. I think a lot of places in the Big 12, like Baylor was spoiled for a little while, having such success with RG3 and and Art Browse got in trouble, and we all know that whole story. But even Oklahoma State, with Gundy, they've been a little spoiled. But there are some teams, and Utah has consistently been a good program. But there are some teams that the darker days are ahead for them, and they're not going to make the transition. I don't think UCF is one of them. I don't think Utah is one of them. But we'll see.
But we all know that coaches are sometimes overrated, right? They're just like Dana Holgerson, doing good at West Virginia, and they offered him all this big money to come to Houston because they wanted to get into Power 5. They wanted to get Power 5 status. Felt like Dana Holgerson was the coach that could get him there. He did get him there. They were horrible. They weren't very good, but they're in the Power 5 now. So they accomplished that, but it turns out Dana Holgerson was overrated. Scott Frost was overrated, going to Nebraska, right? Everybody thought Nebraska's going to be back. It's going to be good. They weren't good. Who's an overrated coach right now, in y'all's opinion? Just somebody in the nation that you think might be the most overrated coach that people are saying is going to do a really good job, but you don't think they are. You have somebody in mind, Jackson?
Not just so far.
See, the coach that I think, and it's not because of the coach he is, it's just because of where he is. I don't think Matt Rule is going to be able to do much at Nebraska.
You don't think so?
And I think it's going to hurt his stock. Because I think Matt Rule's a good coach. I just don't think he's going to be there at Nebraska. I don't know. Hey, I hope I'm wrong. I've always liked Nebraska and I've always liked Matt Rule. But I just don't see it. And I could be wrong there.
I hope he doesn't become like the next Chip Kelly in that regard. No. I don't think he will, but I remember looking at his track record at Temple and his track record at Baylor. I think he'll do fine. I mean, he may not have Nebraska as a contender in their second year together, but the third year, 2025, that's the year to watch out for.
Yeah, I agree. I think Matt Rule's a great coach. I think he's a lot better college coach than he was an NFL coach for sure. But time will tell. But I just don't know about that one.
I think Mark Richt is overrated. And Tommy Tuberville, Mark Richt. I mean, there's a few of them, but those are ones that come to mind. I think Louisville had Charlie Strong for a while. Was he at Louisville?
Mm-hmm. 2010 to 2013.
He was in Texas, yeah. He did good at Louisville, and then he went to Texas and crapped out. So, those
Charlie Strong's a great coach.
Hey,
look, Tom Herman's a great coach. Why in the hell Texas fired him? I don't know.
James Franklin's overrated.
We do know that. You think James Franklin is another one that done a fantastic job at Vanderbilt? Goes to Penn State. He's not done really bad there. I don't think he's done bad. What do you think he's done? Do you think Franklin's done a bad job?
No, I just think he's a little overrated. I think it's. Look up what his winning percentage is. 6.66. The mark of the beast. That's what his winning percentage is.
6.6. Yeah, that's a pretty good winning percentage.
I don't know. Yeah, for $6 million a year, I don't think Penn State's getting what they're paying. Okay, he sniffs around the national title and then chokes and plays like garbage against the big two, Ohio State and Michigan, and that's just the truth. I live in Western Pennsylvania. What's that?
Luckily for him, Michigan's not on the schedule this year, but the real test
Right.
is going to be how they do against USC and Washington.
That's true.
Now, is Lincoln Riley an overrated coach, or do you think he'll do good at USC?
Ask me after 2024.
Yeah.
That's my because
Yeah.
I think Lincoln Riley can get that defense fixed for 2024. I mean, I know everybody was kind of throwing the baby out with the bathwater with USC after that disastrous 2023 season. But if they have another disastrous season in 2024, then we can have that conversation about Lincoln Riley.
See, and
being
I just can't
overrated.
have faith. I just can't have that kind of faith in Lincoln Riley because he's never had a defense. Ever. Oklahoma's
Yeah.
defense was absolutely horrible the whole time he was there. When Bob Stoops left Oklahoma, their defense left out the door too, and haven't been back. And now going to USC, and his biggest mistake I thought was taking Alex Grinch with him there. And I kept telling the USC fans, got to get rid of Alex Grinch. He's horrible. And sure enough, it was. They finally get rid of him. Can they get a defense this year? I don't think so because I think Lincoln Riley likes offense too much. I think he spends too much time in the offensive room. It's like a Dana Holgerston. I think Dana Holgerston is a great offensive coordinator, if not one of the best in the country. Same way with Lincoln Riley. But I don't know how,
Yeah.
I don't think he can run a program because they can't coach defense, special teams, and offense.
Yeah, I mean, the days of having like a Bobby Bowden or like a Nick Saban, those are unicorns. Okay. You know, I think of Rich Rod. He was right place, right time with the new, innovative coaching flavor of that time. Right place, right time. You know, lightning in a bottle, and then he just crapped the bed when he went to Michigan. Crapped the bed when he went to Arizona. I think you have to reinvent yourself, and I think Nick Saban, Bobby Bowden are two that pop into mind that did. But yeah, it's strange that those days are gone. They're not going to have. I mean, who's the next name that's going to be that unicorn? I don't know. I mean.
That's a good one because we don't know. I mean, Kirk Ferentz, I mean, he stayed too long over at Iowa. So
yeah,
so,
like you stayed
I
past
see
your
this
prime.
comment. I see this comment from Timothy Green. He says, "I think Coach Prime will go to Colorado. Well, Coach Prime at Colorado will go to a bowl game this year, in my opinion." All right, so I'm gonna share a screen here real quick. Let me find it. There we go. So this is their football schedule. They start off with North Dakota State, win. Nebraska, I don't know. We'll see. Colorado State, win. Baylor, I think they could be a win. So there's 3 wins, I think. Central Florida, I think so too. That's in Florida. That's in Orlando.
Oh, the bounce house. That's going to be a lot of trouble for Colorado, especially if Colorado's favored in that game.
Next, Kansas State. That's a home game for them, but Kansas State's just too good. They're a lot better than Colorado is right now. Arizona, a lot better than Colorado is right now.
I wonder if we'll see another fireworks. I wonder if we'll see another fireworks game with Colorado, Arizona, like we did last season.
Oh yeah, that was
that one was good.
They'll be Cincy though.
But Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, there's 3 losses. Oklahoma State make it 4 losses. I see 4 wins. I see 4 wins. I'll call them 5.
I see them stealing one of those 3 that you call losses. They'll steal one of those. I think they will. I think they'll beat one of those teams.
Might be right.
I'm just laughing about how Oklahoma State's saying, "Oh, this is our not rival Colorado. We're playing them on Black Friday."
Yeah.
Well, BYU scheduled Utah. Was it BYU that scheduled Utah off of a rivalry, not on the rivalry weekend? Or I mean,
Well, they
that
scheduled each other for rivalry week for 2018, but that was it. But the Big 12 decided it was going to be on November 9th instead of on
yep.
rivalry week. But I think, honestly, they should have put that game on Black Friday instead of Utah
Yes.
Central Florida, because nobody's going to get excited about Utah Central Florida on Black Friday. I mean,
it's like how many people can remember Thanksgiving weekend? We always sit down and watch West Virginia and Pitt. You remember that?
I used to go to those games and freeze my butt off. Yeah.
I remember watching
it was always
2008. That was a great one. 2009. That was a tremendous upset over Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I think that I'd love to have that game back on the schedule around Thanksgiving again. And that's me personally. It always made my Thanksgiving to just sit there and enjoy the backyard brawl on Thanksgiving weekend. And I miss those days. And I hate college football realignment because of that right there. It's just this, But luckily we've had them on the schedule for 4 years. Got them again this year, and then they're coming back. 2028? So I'm hoping that in 2028. Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping 2028 they don't schedule them in the first 3 games of the season. They put them down there around Thanksgiving again.
I wish Pittsburgh
don't do that.
I wish Pittsburgh was playing West Virginia and Penn State annually. That would be cool. I mean, my generation doesn't really know a lot about the Penn State Pittsburgh rivalry. I mean, they can only remember like the 4 games from 2016, 2019, but that's it,
Well, now, Jackson, I know you're not a Pitt fan, but boy, you sure are wishing death on them, aren't you? Because they'd be playing at least 11 Power Fives every year if they played Penn State and West Virginia. And not only that, they're 2 out of the conference games of Penn State out of the Big 10 and West Virginia out of the Big 12. Probably 2. That'd probably make Pitt one of the toughest schedules in the country every year. I don't think that would ever happen.
In the playoffs if you go 10-2, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can see him. I can see him scheduling one of them, either West Virginia or Penn State, and I can see Penn State scheduling either Pitt or West Virginia, and I can see West Virginia scheduling either one of them. But West Virginia scheduled them both this year. But that's just West Virginia. That's just how they do it. We've never. We play
State, Pittsburgh.
West Virginia plays 11 Power Fives. Yeah, West Virginia plays 11 Power Fives every year, and they don't shy away. I mean, hell, we've opened up games with Alabama, Tennessee. I mean, we don't care. And Morgantown, they don't care who they play.
I wish they would play like a Wofford before they played in Alabama, but they haven't. Right. They'll play like a powerhouse and then have a warm-up game after they get their asses
kicked. Wofford your week 0 game. Wofford. I don't want to see Wofford anywhere near.
I hear you. I don't either.
I mean, you're a contender. You're going to play like
James Madison or whoever they schedule. But hey, guys,
I don't think I want to play James Madison right now. I don't want to play James Madison right now, really.
No, they're good now, but hey, I'll tell you what. I think we talked a little bit of college basketball, a lot of college football. Most of it was Big 12 stuff. We had the smartest college fan in the nation, Jackson Johnson, on here, and he's the smartest fan. And then we're 2 of the biggest fans of college football, Joey and Shane. So we enjoyed having you guys shoot the bull with us for the past hour about all things college,
college football, all things college, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tune in next week. We'll talk about rifling. No, I'm just kidding. But no, we do appreciate you coming in with us, Jackson, and everyone in the chat, everyone in the comment section. We appreciate you being here. Everyone that's watched the show, everyone who watches the show later, just do us one favor. Be sure you smash that thumbs up button for us. Subscribe to the channel. Even if you don't like us, we have Clint Foster that comes on the Big 12 channel on Tuesday nights. And we're working on other shows on the Big 12 channel. So bear with us there. So if you don't like us, you'll find somebody that you like on the Big 12 channel. I promise you. At some point, you'll find something you like. But we do appreciate everybody.
Right?
Right. This is a fan show here. Somebody says somebody
He's got
says,
like
I
all
don't
the
like that
hats
show.
for all the teams in the Big 12. I love that about him. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he does. Now somebody that says, I don't like that Joey and Shane's show over there on that Big 12 channel. Well, why? It's just a fan show. We're not trying to be perfect. I guarantee you, we're going to say some things that make no sense. We're going to be dumb about something. That's like a while ago when he said, what was it you said earlier? Chip Kelly. When I mentioned Chip Kelly
instead of
and you instead of Brian, you thought he was at LSU. And I mean, that's just how it is. We're fans.
Chips at UCLA. It's Brian. Those damn
or was it
Kellys and all their
UCLA?
coaching.
Right, was at UCLA. But I mean, that's why. Yeah, there's nothing not to like here. Just come and hang out with us. You want to come on here and talk? This is the platform to do it on because look, you can't just go on every program and just loosen up and have some fun, right? Talk about what you want to talk about. That's what we want to do here at the Fan Zone. Mountaineer Fan Zone on Monday night, Big 12 Fan Zone on Thursday night. Tune in with us because we want to build this into a good show. So, but anyway, Shane, you got anything else for us, buddy?
No, we'll see you Monday.
That sounds good. Jackson, you got anything else, man?
Check me out and see what I got to say on YouTube at Jackson Johnson 979 and on Twitter at Jackson09960335 and on Instagram and Threads at Jackson Johnson 543908. And tomorrow night at 9 p.m., Will and D and I are doing the college basketball recap preview show. We'll be going over our take on the recaps of Gonzaga, Kentucky, the game of the gift from the basketball gods to Gonzaga basketball, and Detroit Mercy finally getting their first win ever. So for some of those that watch the basketball recap show from Will and I, you'll know that we kind of have like a pissy mood when we see Detroit Mercy, but you're going to see us very happy tomorrow night when we discuss Detroit Mercy.
And that's at 9?
9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night.
And I know Jackson went over that really quickly. Let me tell y'all right now, this is the best thing to do to keep up with Jackson Johnson. Number one, subscribe to his page.
Yes.
But number two, join his Discord server. It's called the Jacksonian. Anybody could just join your channel, right? Your Discord. Anyone can join.
Yeah,
right?
let me send
So join his Discord because he posts every video in Discord so that you won't never miss anything. Join his Discord. Guys, we appreciate everybody being here tonight. We will see everyone again Monday night for the Mountaineer Fan Zone. Everyone have a great night. We'll see you next time.